My personal belief, especially after reading the 1996 NSA, which is a government agency white paper on how to create a mint, is that Bitcoin was the Trojan horse. And I don't think it was a coincidence that it came out in January of 2009 and quantitative easing started in March, because they need to have things look as normal as possible so that you don't know that anything has changed, when in reality, everything has changed.
This woman, Lynette Zang, believes the government, potentially CIA operatives, created Bitcoin as a Trojan horse to usher in a new modernized digital economy where things are tokenized in the real world and bridged over to blockchain. And I can tell you, Lynette is not crazy. She's very intelligent, and through this entire interview, mainly focused on the current state of the US and world economies. By the end of this video, you'll understand what's happening on a deeper level. And at the end, I'm going to tell you how to navigate the world of crypto and front run things that may be happening soon. If that sounds good, hit the like button, stick around all the way until the end of this video. Let's get it. I'm not a financial advisor. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Today, we're going to be breaking down this video of Lynette Zang revealing the plans of the elite and suggesting maybe Bitcoin was a Trojan horse all along. So Lynette doesn't seem to be too anti-crypto, but she does believe this was all an orchestrated plan. But let's see her full response when asked about crypto as a hedge against the crazy economic times we're living in.
But what do you say to those that say gold, yes, silver, yes, but another way to potentially opt out of the system, Bitcoin, or maybe other cryptocurrencies?
Now, going back to the Bank for International Settlements money flower, there is a very small place for private cryptocurrencies that do not travel or under the purview of central banks. There's a much larger space for commodity money, so gold and silver.
The Bank of International Settlements, or BIS, has created something called the money flower that has examples of money from the past, present, and future. Because guys, regardless of whether the CIA created Bitcoin or not, I can tell you that Lynette Zang is dead on from what she said about the importance of CBDCs. But she also says some smaller private cryptocurrencies could survive. However, at the end of this clip, she poses a very interesting question about Bitcoin.
But the visibility that Bitcoin has gotten in its first run up to 70,000 and inside the ETFs, people that buy gold and people that buy cryptocurrencies have the same kind of, typically, unless they're trading, have the same kind of concerns and mentality. In other words, they're trying to do something that's outside of the system. Michelle, do you really think that Bitcoin is outside of the system now?
Is Bitcoin outside the system? Very interesting when you think about it. And here's my opinion. Bitcoin's now part of the system. And with that comes a lot of changes. ETFs and TradFi integration is great for the stock world and traditional markets. They have an avenue to get to us now. And it's great for us because we've been living in a tokenized world for about 7 years now, if you've been hearing crypto for as long as I have. And we're really good at crypto. So when everything is tokenized, we should have a big advantage over TradFi investors. But the point is, the ETFs have been great for traditional finance and the price of Bitcoin and other cryptos. But we have collectively lost this large-scale battle over decentralization. TradFi has won. Now it's time to play possum, regroup, make as much money as we can in order to fight the good fight in the future. In the meantime, we need to come together as a community, not of crypto people, but of people who understand currency and history and corruption and power and fight to do something to try to stave off these CBDCs and what I'll call state surveillance tools like FedNow, social credit scores, media publications, social media companies. Is X.com outside the system? Drop those comments down below. But we need to come together as a decentralized world and try to stop what's coming.
Michelle, do you really think that Bitcoin is outside of the system now?
Look, I have raised this as a personal point of concern that bringing Bitcoin ETFs does bring Bitcoin back into the traditional financial system, which it was supposed to be an alternative to. I personally have raised this as being contrary to the decentralized, independent ethos of Bitcoin, which, as you say, appeals to the same libertarian mentality that sees the debasement and devaluation of fiat currency and wants to find an alternative. So I do flag that as a big concern, that yes, it's good for the price and it's maybe good for adoption, but it's not so good if you're looking for Bitcoin to be an alternative to the system. But you're saying Bitcoin, in your opinion, and I'm assuming that this is speculation, was designed in order to normalize the idea of digital currencies for people, bring it into the private sector, create adoption to lay the groundwork for a central bank digital currency.
You see, when we went off the gold standard, our purchasing power faltered, and it pretty much set off the beginning of the end for our financial power and prowess in America. It's pretty much been slowly dying ever since. You can check out this cool website, WTFHappened1971.com, to see a lot of these charts for themselves. It's nothing but one direction since 1971. We know things changed in 1971 when we went off the gold standard. We know that because they've been leading us to this full-scale monetary change ever since. It's been heading in one direction since 1971, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, or digital money issued on a blockchain by a central bank. It's what TradFi is absolutely lusting after right now. TradFi and nation states can see the power and control and the means to take hold of it. The people pushing these narratives, the CBDCs, are going to get banned in the United States, just couldn't be further from the truth.
The NSA white paper, anybody can get it. I believe it was 1996 on how to create a mint. And if you read that white paper, so much in there looks so much like cryptocurrencies.
Does that, necessarily mean, just to play devil's advocate here, because we don't know the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, and what you're saying has been floated that maybe he was part of, the NSA. So you're saying that your belief based on that NSA paper is that Satoshi Nakamoto was a government operative?
In fact, many people contend the government created Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin in order to push us to this tokenization narrative. Lynette Zang knows a lot, though, and her 60 years of financial experience, seriously, 60 years, has led her to contend the troubling 1996 report on how to mint your own crypto is almost exactly what crypto and Bitcoin are based on, meaning the government would have potentially been working on crypto for almost 30 years now. We know they worked on the internet via ARPANET even back in the 1950s. These government plans, they're long. Politicians are old. They can wait. But let's see what else Lynette Zang had to say.
Possibly, in my opinion, it's a Trojan horse because you also look at the timing of when it came out, which was January
after the financial crisis, and the paper would state because of the collapse of the system, there was a need to create an alternative for the people. But you're saying that that's a decoy.
Oh, I do believe it's a decoy. Yes, absolutely. Because we've also had enough occurrences of currencies resetting into different systems. And what they say is we have to keep it looking as normal as possible. So yeah, they needed to develop these cryptocurrencies, get them out there, let them run, right? Get them visible to the public. All right, well, what's the difference between a cryptocurrency or a CBDC? Or to the point of Palau, when you look at your statement, the money that's digital, right? It's about normalcy. They've been moving us in this direction since the 50s. This isn't something that they do overnight, because if they do things overnight, you see that, you notice it, we're going to protect yourself. If it happens over a period of time, and it's genius. How much money would have gone into physical gold had Bitcoin not been there?
Zang actually begins making the argument that the money flowing into crypto would have been flowing into gold or other commodities, and there may be some truth to that. I also think retail has to see value in crypto to buy it. So I think a huge percentage of crypto investors are people who woke up to our horrible financial world economy. Bitcoin doesn't need advertising because all the central banks, they do it for us. Government, corruption, and central banks are Bitcoin's advertising. It's so fresh that Lynette Zang is here to give you this stuff because nobody's telling you the truth about our financial realities, and she is. I want you to pay close attention to what Lynette says here about gold confiscation, like it was performed back in the 1930s. Because if you listen closely and read between the lines, she's going to kind of give you the entire playbook the ghosts in the financial machine use to spread misinformation to trick people.
I do personally believe that we will see an overt gold confiscation. Price manipulation is certainly a form of confiscation. And we are watching countries around the world confiscate gold from mines, et cetera, but they're not going to call it confiscation. They're going to raise taxes, tariffs, this, that. I mean, there's all different names, but the bottom line is when the truth is hidden from you, and so you cannot make an educated choice that actually puts your best interest first, because everything you're looking at is manipulated. That to me is also a form of confiscation.
And guys, who do you think is trying to trick us and why? We know who it is. It's because they want to take everything from us. They don't want you to own anything. Don't let them confuse you with their media narratives, volatile charts, and pretentious attitudes. We are not cattle. We are people. We don't need cattle drivers pointing us to where we need to go to make the most of our money for our overlords. And Larry Fink out here pretending to be a crypto hero? Listen, Larry has marching orders like everyone else. He's just a facilitator. Hit the like button on your way out. Drop me a comment down below if you think that our economy is salvageable, or whether we are simply a frog in the lukewarm water slowly beginning to boil before we get cooked to death and eaten for our beautiful, tasty legs. Either way, we'll continue to fight for our freedoms and make money along the way. We see where things are going now. Tokenization on the blockchain of real-world assets was always the goal, according to Lynette Zang. And I can tell you that she's the only one out here trying to talk sense into people. Real-world assets, RWAs, #1 narrative of crypto that's bull run, I guarantee it. This is where being aware of the larger narratives and even government corruption can help us make gains. The governments, corporations, and institutions are front running us, all because they know what is coming and you don't. But I do, and that's why you subscribe to this channel. Subscribe and hit the notifications for the bell so you never miss when I drop the alpha. Be blessed. BitBoy out.